Hi, I thought today I've been sent this new book by Tom Shepherd to have a look at, which is called Simply Paint Birds, and he's asked me just to do a review of it. So I thought it'd be quite fun to do it together. I do these online tutorials, but I've never been a pupil as such. You know, I write the tutorials and put them online, and I thought it'd be really fun to try and do someone else's. And it's in watercolour, which I hate using. I never use it because I find it so tricky. And his is really clever because in the back of the book, he's added this little strip of watercolours you can use. Right, okay, first things first, we have to draw out the hoopoe. I've chosen the hoopoe, which is quite a complicated one in the book, but I love hoopoes. They're my favourite bird. And I thought I'd better start with a more advanced one, as technically I'm a professional artist. There's no point starting with a really easy one at the front. So this may go well or may not, I don't know. I've never really used watercolour, or I have used it and it's been a disaster. So it'll be quite fun to see if I can do this. Right, sketching loosely, big long beak, very thin beak. He's very cleverly provided these quite simple outlines to follow. Got quite a straight little face. Why? Looks a bit like a cockerel, really, his head. And the crest, sort of like that. Show up my sketching abilities here that I'm a bit out of practice. This is body. Also quite straight. It's so much easier, I don't know if you found this, but sketching from someone else's drawing rather than from life, because essentially if you're sketching from life or a photo, you're sketching almost from 3D and trying to convert it into like simplistic 2D in your head. And if you struggle with that, you are much better to trace over a simple outline over your photo. Because that simplifies it in your mind and you'll find it much, much easier to do. Right, and then some stripes, which kind of a arrowhead down the back. I'm guessing I need to simplify this sketch. Or maybe we should look at the next page. No, he just starts with a sketch. Right, so we're using Prussian blue, quinacridone red. Let's look at my things. Prussian blue, quinacridone red, and cobalt. Oh no, Aurelian. Oh no, that is cobalt yellow. Okay, which is quite like. So this is a very simple, limited palette. Right, let's go. I haven't really got water brushes, so I'm hoping these ones will do. They're just sort of soft sable brushes. I'm pretty sure that's much the same. Right, add red to the yellow and use a size 1 brush. That looks much the same as mine. Extend the colour into the background. Right, so add a bit of red to the yellow. So, okay, so we colour them in yellow to start. Red to yellow, fill in his face. Go over his eye. Oh no, he hasn't gone over his eye. Oh, whoops, right, okay, let's dab that off. Go around the eye. Extend the colour in to the background. Okay, let's do that. And add a bit of red to add some variety. Okay, which we're doing with this red, wasn't it? Doesn't look as strong as his. I think I prefer this stronger yellow. I think I'm going to use that instead. These are all watercolours by Daniel Smith, and actually that's amazing, and that's a lovely pigment. Okay, let's get a slightly stronger colour. I've swapped onto the new Gamboge yellow. It seems to be a bit stronger. Right, where are we going with this? There we go, a bit more red. Right, leaving light around the eye, which I forgot to do, but I've dabbed that off. Build up the head. Strengthen the mix into a milky consistency. Add shaping, wet into wet. Right, okay. Let's make a stronger orangey colour then. So it's shaping, right. Oh, this brush is shedding hair. That's obviously a really old, cheap brush. I guess I'm kind of going over his feathery things here. There we go. Oh, under his beak, going under there too. This brush is useless. I think I'd be better using my my makeup brushes than these. Right, okay. Glaze very dilute Prussian blue over the bird's back to establish some subtle shadow. Okay, let's give that brush. Let's choose a different brush. Not that one looks good. So Prussian blue up the top here. So very dilute. I think my Hoopoe is too fat. I'm guessing I don't run it into the... Ignore the markings at this point and just treat the body as a single large shape. Right, he hasn't done the whole body though, he's just done bits of it and left bits of it blank. Okay, so we've done that, and then make a muted grey-green mix of Aurelian, which I think was the yellow, with a little brush of blue and a touch of red, and use that to... So, right, he wants a fairly neutral, by sounds things, green. So not just blue. Oh God, I'm going to run out of all these colours in a minute. A little bit more blue. Let's make it a little bit more green. And then go over your branch. Oh, he's got splatters. How has he done that? Oh, there we go. Tapping. Right, and stronger up the top. Let's add a bit more blue. Oh, that's quite there we go. Right, stage 5, a bit more tapping. Let's add a little bit more splatters. Quite like doing that. Okay, and then using the size 3 brush, I don't really have different sizes. This is a small one. I've just got a random selection. Use a size 3 brush to paint the lower part of the beak with a soft grey mix of Prussian blue with a little bit. So I think we'll use the same mix I used for the tree, but I'll just add more blue to it. Hopefully that'll work. Oh, this brush is so bad. It's not accurate at all. Okay, so what am I doing? The bottom part of the beak. Ooh, wobbly hand. Oh my God, should not have had so much coffee. How do you get a straight line with these wobbly brushes? I'm going to blame my tools. I don't understand watercolour. Right, there we go. Beak. Maybe I've made the beak too long and not curved enough. Let's add a bit more curve right down the bottom. Oh no, now I'm going Michael Snake's tongue. Take that bit off at the end. I used to find it a little bit along the top. Let's do that, give it more definition. There we go. Right, the beak, there we go. Paint the eye. Add a very fine line. Paint the eye with the same version. Right. Let's leave a highlight in the middle. There we go. The eye. His is a much more purpley colour. And build up the shade. Build up the head with a strong version of the orange mix, which I've now modelled everything into different colours. Right, let's clean it up a bit. See if we can make a good orange mix. I think I need a firmer brush to do this. Okay, let's try this one. Orange. Back of the head. I can see I'm going to run out of paint. Right, a little bit under the beak for definition. What I don't understand, Walker, is like how much time do you leave to dry between layers? Do you let each layer dry and then go at it, or this is already looking nothing like Tom's? But I'm sure, like any painting, it's all about practice. Let's go under his eye a bit, define that. There we go. Okay. Number 6. Using the same orange mix for some light strokes on the crest, and then make a thick, dark mix of the red and blue, and use this on a much dry brush. Right, I might get a slightly squarer brush. This one, that's the one I used on the blue. Right, let's make a sort of purpley mix then. And he does. I might actually swap to one of my oil brushes, which are a bit stiffer. Here we go. Let's use this one. I think that'll be more effective. I'll have more control. Right, so you drag these brushes. It's not quite as dry as his. Slightly different effect. Yeah, he's got that lovely kind of dry look to his. And maybe he's got quite rough textured paper and mine's very smooth. We'll blame it on that. There we go. 7, in order not to go too dark at the start, so use the same dark mix as a milky consistency. Paint a visible leg. So let's paint our leg in here first. This brush is much easier. And then, yeah, lighten it up a little bit in order to do the stripes. Oh, his yellow comes so much further down. Maybe I should have added more yellow further down. Let's go back. And oh, no, that one's blue. Don't want to do that. Let's find a yellow brush. It's all getting a bit muddy. There we go. So lighter purple stripes to start with. If you want to see my palette, and I am releasing now that these are probably meant to be samples and not what you actually paint with, that's my palette. Let's just try that. It needs to be a bit bluer. Right, and then do right, and then fill in the tail. Oh, look, I've got some nice dry brush strokes there. I like those. Right, and then I think I'm meant to go back in and just add some definition where there's a bit of shadow. Oh, that's a good mix. I'm sure I realised you could get such sort of intense colour from watercolours. They're so strong. I always think of them as being sort of quite wishy-washy, but these are amazing. They've got very heavy kind of pigment. Right, I feel I should darken up bits of my brush, my tree here. Possibly forgot to do earlier. That's looking quite kind of Hoopoe-like. Yeah, got to the end. Oh, I'm quite pleased with that. That's really fun. His is definitely a lot looser, and I like, actually he's put a bit more definition in there, hasn't he? So let's do that with a little bit of the green. Just to define the edge of the Hoopoe there. That's really cool. I mean, it doesn't look like Tom's, you know, but so I'm really pleased with my Hoopoe. I think, I mean, it doesn't look like Tom's, but this is the first attempt at watercolour in like 15 years. And painting, it's just practice and getting used to your mediums and having the right tools. I have to be honest, I think I need better paper. I'm not actually sure that this was watercolour paper. Let me just check. It's just a heavyweight drawing paper, so it's buckled quite a lot with the drawing, but it's really fun. It's so nice to try a new medium. It's got 26 exercises in it, and the start is all your materials, how to techniques and tips, how to draw out. He's done these lovely, really simple outlines to follow. your sort of methods of doing dry brushing, spattering, watercolour techniques, a quick explanation of colour and tone, highlights, light, and then he's got 26 exercises that you can follow. Um, and it's just down to practice. I mean, I'm really pleased with my Hoopoe. It doesn't look like Tom's exactly, but I think for a first attempt, that's pretty good. I mean, watercolour is not a medium I'm familiar with. This is Tom's Hoopoe. I mean, it's not identical to mine. I definitely needed better paper. This is just a very cold press, very smooth drawing paper. It's not watercolour paper. And you're having the right materials does make a massive difference. I mean, you know, you're hampering yourself if you start off with really cheap watercolours and brushes. These watercolours from Daniel Smith were fabulous. It's lovely just to be able to crack on and have a go using those without having to invest in a whole heap of watercolour paints. And to be honest, I wouldn't know where to start with buying them, but I could easily buy a few of those and have them in the studio to use. The great thing about this book is that you can have a go. There are so many exercises, and to be honest, if you start at the beginning and work through, you'd be a lot better by the end. I mean, that's the thing about painting. It's practice. You know, you're better to do 6 Hoopoes and you'll have a really good one at the end than spend hours and hours trying to create the perfect Hoopoe. The more you paint, the better you get at it. It's like any skill, like playing an instrument or whatever. So yeah, I would thoroughly recommend it. Thank you, Tom, for sending it through. I've really enjoyed doing that.